Okay, are you ready to dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Let's do it. It's a classic for a reason, right?
It really is. I always hear people talking about it, but I'm curious, for you, what makes it so interesting?
Well, you know, there are a lot of financial self-help books out there.
So many.
But Kiyosaki's approach, I think, is really fascinating. He uses his own life as a framework.
Yeah.
He doesn't just preach financial advice. He shares these experiences with his rich dad and poor dad,
Right.
which are super interesting.
That's what makes it so relatable, right? He's not just some financial guru.
Exactly.
He's a guy who learned these principles firsthand. And by observing these two contrasting approaches to money.
Yeah, it's not about being rich or poor. It's about the mindset
Exactly.
that you develop around your finances.
And that's where I think his concept of the rat race comes into play.
Precisely. Imagine getting that promotion you've been working towards. You're excited about it.
Yes.
But then you start thinking,
It's like, I need a car to match my new lifestyle, a bigger apartment. And suddenly, you're stuck. You need that job even more.
oh, totally.
And that's the thing about the rat race. You're running and running,
And you're not really getting ahead.
but you're not really getting ahead.
Wow, I felt that.
And that's what he's trying to highlight.
So how do we escape it?
Well, that's where this concept of minding your own business comes in.
Okay.
Now, I don't want you to think, I'm quitting my job tomorrow, I'm going to start a business. That's not what he's saying.
Okay.
It's about building assets, right?
Okay.
Think of them as your own personal money-making machines.
I like that visual. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's an asset?
He breaks it down very simply. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out.
Okay.
Rental property, asset. A fancy car that you're still making payments on,
Liability?
liability, often disguised as a status symbol.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, right? It's like, oh, I need to look the part.
Yeah.
But really, that sports car is silently draining your bank account.
Yeah.
It's about looking beyond the perceived value
Yeah.
and thinking about their actual impact on your finances.
It's about working for your money instead of the other way around, right?
Exactly.
And this is where he talks about, this concept of financial intelligence.
Yeah, it's not enough to work hard. You have to understand the system. You need to be financially literate to make those decisions.
Right. And like you were saying, he's a big advocate for going against maybe those traditional notions of education.
Yes. And, he uses the analogy of football.
Okay.
You wouldn't show up to a football game not knowing the rules.
Totally.
Financial literacy is about understanding the rules of the money game.
He's handing us the playbook, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was missing all along.
The playbook that they didn't give us. And he's not afraid to talk about his own financial setbacks.
He's very open about his mistakes
Yeah.
because he wants to demonstrate that failure is not the opposite of success.
The stepping stone.
It's a stepping stone.
Like that example he gives about buying that rundown house.
Yeah, and he didn't buy it for the house. He bought it for the lots.
For the land, yeah, that came with it. Demolished the house, made a profit.
Exactly. Seeing opportunity where others see obstacles.
And that takes vision, right?
It takes a certain kind of vision, yeah, and that's what he's trying to encourage.
Yeah.
Developing that rich dad mindset.
Okay, so how do we do that?
That's the question.
Right.
And he talks about these, I don't want.
It's self-imposed limitations.
I don't want to deal with tenants.
Yes,
Oh.
because I don't want to risk losing money.
I don't want to. Right. But it's about pushing past those comfort zones.
Because on the other side of fear.opportunity, I love that. So we're getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's about rewriting those internal scripts. Right.
It's that inner game, right, of wealth building
Yes, exactly.
that he talks about. Like, you could have all the tools, but if you're crippled by fear,
It's not going to happen.
yeah. And that's where those I don't wants can be so sneaky. Because they sound like valid reasons, but often they're just fear dressed up in, different clothes.
Exactly.
So, okay, we're pushing past the comfort zones. We're getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But how do we actually put these principles into action?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Because I think that's where some people get tripped up a little bit.
Of course, it's one thing to...
That's like, okay, I get it, but how do I actually do it?
Yeah, how do I bridge that gap?
Right.
Between theory and practice.
Exactly.
He offers a lot of strategies in the book, but one thing that stands out to me is his emphasis on the power of corporations.
Yes.
And he says most people, especially employees, don't fully utilize them to their advantage.
He talks about the fact that you can write off,
But that's where I think some people get tripped up. They hear corporations and they think, wait, I'm not some big-time CEO. This doesn't apply to me.
And that's the misconception he's trying to challenge.
It's not about being a CEO. It's about understanding how to structure your finances, minimize your tax burden, protect your assets.
So it's like knowing the tax code inside and out.
Well, you don't have to know it inside and out. That's why you have a team.
Okay, so that's where building a team comes in, right?
You need a good lawyer. You need a good accountant.
Your financial superheroes in your corner.
Exactly. And these aren't expenses. He sees them as investments.
Okay, so we've got our team. We're utilizing corporations. What's next?
Well, this is where he talks about becoming a sophisticated investor.
He's not a fan of those set it and forget it strategies.
No, he wants you to be active in your...
He wants you to get your hands dirty.
He wants you to understand how to raise capital.
He wants you to be elbows deep in the kitchen of your financial future.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Spot undervalued assets, like he did with that dilapidated property.
Right, not because he wanted the building.
But because he saw the value in the land.
That takes fearlessness, right?
It does. But he's not advocating being reckless.
No, it's calculated, right?
It's about doing your due diligence, researching your investments.
So you're balancing that risk, but you're also doing your research.
Exactly.
And understanding your risk tolerance, right? Because that's a big one.
Absolutely.
He's a big proponent of learning from history.
Yes, your own financial past and historical trends.
It's like having a financial crystal ball.
Exactly.
But instead of magic, you're using
Yeah, historical data, yeah. And he uses his own investment blunders.
Right. He admits his mistakes, which makes him relatable.
It makes him human. We're all human.
Yeah, yeah. We're going to make mistakes, but it's how we learn and grow from them.
That's the key. That's how you become savvy.
It's about having that resilience, right?
You bet.
Like, you might stumble, you might fall down, but you dust yourself off.
He also talks about finding mentors.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. Surrounding yourself with the right people.
Who have already walked the path you're on.
He talks about the impact his rich dad had.
Right. And while not everyone is fortunate enough to have a rich dad in their life,
not everyone has that person in their life.
Mentors can come from all walks of life.
They can be authors, entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
Or even that one friend that just seems to get it.
Exactly. That's the key.
They're like, oh, yeah, no, I do this, this, and this. And you're like, wait, what?
And be open to learning and ask for guidance.
Because he also challenges us to think bigger.
Yes.
It's so easy to get caught up in our immediate circumstance.
He's a big believer in setting goals and taking action.
He'd probably say that feeling of overwhelm, is a good thing. It's a sign that you're stretching yourself.
Exactly.
And that's where he introduces that link, right?
Yes.
Between financial intelligence and, almost like personal development.
Because you can't truly master your finances without mastering yourself.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
He wants you to develop your mindset alongside your financial skills.
So it's about becoming a well-rounded individual, not just a financial whiz.
It's about living a life of purpose and fulfillment.
He wants you to enjoy the journey.
Exactly.
Not just like the destination. How do we take these principles, though, and apply them to what's going on in the world right now?
Right. It's a whole new ballgame.
Right. The internet, cryptocurrency, the housing market, it's a lot.
And that's where, he talks a lot about real estate.
Yeah.
But even some of the strategies he outlined back then might need a little bit of
tweaking.
Yeah. To fit today's market. He even created this tool to kind of help you apply these principles.
Oh, yeah, his game.
The cash flow game. Have you ever had a chance to play it?
I haven't, but I've heard about it. It's not your typical board game, right?
No, it's not Monopoly.
It simulates real life, right?
Real life financial scenarios.
So you get that experience without the
without the risk.
Without the risk, yeah, exactly. But it's not just about the numbers either, right? It's also about understanding
your own financial psychology.
Your risk tolerance, all of that. It's bringing that awareness.
Exactly. Those ingrained patterns, those emotional traps that might be holding you back.
And he kind of like gamified it, which is kind of cool.
He gamified financial literacy. And through that gamification, he introduces another concept. The cash flow quadrant.
Yes, the quadrant. Okay, break that down.
It's a square divided into 4 sections.
Okay.
And it represents the different ways people earn a living.
Okay.
So you got the E, the S, the B, and the I.
Employee, self-employed.
B, business owner.
Business owner, and then investor.
Investor. And so the financial freedom that escaped from the rat race really lies in that transition.
From the left side to the right side, right?
Exactly.
Because you want to be the business owner or the investor.
You want to create passive income.
That's the dream.
Income that doesn't require you to trade your time for money.
To have your money work as hard as you do.
Right. And that's what the cash flow game allows you to explore.
You get to dabble in all the different quadrants.
You get to understand what it takes to succeed in each of those quadrants.
So it's like equipping yourself with knowledge. Right.
It is about equipping yourself with the knowledge and tools.
To make informed decisions.
Regardless of where you are.
I like that. One critique I've heard about the book is that it's a little light on specifics.
Okay.
It's like, okay, this is great, financial freedom, but like, how do I actually do it?
And I think he does that intentionally.
Okay.
He's trying to equip you with the tools to create your own path.
It's about becoming the architect of your own financial future.
Exactly.
Instead of just following a blueprint, right?
Because what works for one person
might not work for another.
might not work for another.
Okay. But that's where that continuous learning comes in, right?
Continuous learning is key.
Because, you know, he's a big advocate for self-education. Reading books.
Seminars.
Attending seminars.
Finding mentors.
Right, and finding those mentors, surrounding yourself with those people.
He'd probably say the best investment you can make is in yourself.
100%, I would agree with that. And you know what's interesting? He also talks about, alongside the financial knowledge, nurturing your mental, emotional well-being.
He does. He talks about building a strong support system.
Because you need that. You need those people in your corner who are going to support you.
People who share your values.
It's about creating that holistic abundance, right? It's not just about
the money.
The numbers in your bank account.
It's about living a life.
That feels good.
That feels good, yes.
Yeah.
That's filled with purpose.
And that resonates, right? That's something that I think we can all connect to. And it's interesting, he also talks about this concept of giving.
He does. He talks about tithing.
And I know for some people that might be a little bit, wait, what?
Right, because it's bringing in this spiritual element.
Okay.
Where he believes generosity attracts abundance.
And, you know, when you're giving, it's not about giving to get. It's about
a mindset.
A mindset of abundance. It's about, you know, I have so much gratitude. Yes, I have so much to be grateful for.
And it doesn't have to be financial.
It could be your time. It could be your skills.
Your skills, your knowledge, anything. Yeah. Paying it forward.
Because he's a big believer in, you know, teaching what you've learned.
He wants you to become an ambassador of this knowledge.
Because ultimately, it's about more than just money.
It is. It's about creating a life.
Of meaning, right.
Of meaning, of purpose.
Where you have the freedom to pursue your passions.
Yes.
And do the things that light you up. That's a vision worth striving for.
Absolutely.
So much to think about, right? It's inspiring, but like, where do we even start?
Yeah.
Kiyosaki throws out a lot of big ideas.
He does, but he doesn't just leave you hanging.
Right.
He challenges you to take action.
Okay.
But it's about starting small.
Small steps, right.
What's one small action you can take today?
He makes it sound so easy.
He does.
It's like, even if you've only got 15 minutes, you know, skim an article, check out a book from the library.
Become an active participant in your journey. It's like they say knowledge without action is a book you've never read.
You've got the ingredients, but you're not cooking the meal yet.
He wants you in the kitchen. But here's the thing. He doesn't want it to feel like punishment.
Right. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
It should feel engaging.
Right. So for our listeners, what could that look like, that first step?
Could be as simple as setting a budget.
Okay.
Not a restrictive one.
Yeah.
But a plan. Or maybe it's finally opening that investment account.
The one you've been putting off.
Yes. Or even just having a conversation.
Yeah, with someone who you trust. Right?
Someone financially savvy.
Who might know a little bit more than you.
Exactly.
But just that conscious choice to engage. Right?
Build that momentum step by step, and that's where his emphasis on mindset comes in.
Because money can be scary, let's be honest.
It can. But he wants you to embrace the discomfort.
It's a sign of growth.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
It's like, you know, when you're learning to ride a bike.
You'll fall a few times.
But eventually, you're cruising.
Exactly. And you never stop learning. The financial world, it's always changing.
Always another hill to climb.
Right. You're adjusting, adapting. One thing we haven't touched on Kiyosaki's stance on giving.
Oh, yes. He talks about tithing.
Some people are surprised by that.
Yeah, like, wait a minute, where'd this come from?
He brings in this spiritual element.
Okay.
Generosity attracts abundance.
It's funny because it's true. When you give without expecting,
yes,
It does come back.
It's that abundance mindset.
Exactly. And again, it's not always financial. It's your time, your talents.
Your knowledge. Kiyosaki encourages people to teach what they've learned.
Pay it forward.
Be an ambassador for financial literacy.
Because ultimately, it's about so much more than just money.
It is. It's about living a life of meaning.
Thus purpose, right?
Designing a life where you're free to pursue those passions.
That's what it's all about.
It really is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, rich dad, poor dad, it all comes back to that one small action.
What will it be?
What will you do today to build that path?
Read an article. Set a budget. Just reflect.
Whatever feels right, take that step.
Your future self will thank you.
And remember, you don't have to go it alone.
You've got this.
Find your people. Build your team. Because, as Kiyosaki would say,
The journey is best shared.
absolutely. So until next time,
Keep learning
keep growing.
and keep taking action.
We'll be